Okay, I think we finally have a connection. Hello, friends. Happy frigging Monday. I am just in the middle of trying to see if there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna mute myself. I have my phone up so that I can actually see the comments because Facebook has been glitching like crazy. Okay, so that is that. How are you guys doing? How was your weekend? Fill me in on any wins that you're seeing. And remember, if you are here, I want you to hashtag I'm here. And if you're catching a replay, now is where you're going to hashtag replay in the comments. So it's going to be like this, either hashtag I'm here or hashtag replay. So today I really wanted to talk to you guys on how to find your self-esteem and embracing what we sometimes call the lonely chapter. This is a very inspiring topic, and it's also a little of a lonely one. Now, as you guys know, when you come here, you have goals, you have big, lofty goals. And no matter how many systems are in place, if you don't utilize them, or if you don't address what is actually going on, you're not necessarily going to get all of the benefits. Now, when you guys start here, you're normally in one set of circumstances. That set of circumstances involves a certain group of friends, certain habits, um, certain lifestyle changes that got us into a lot of these pickles in the first place. Or if it's, medical, different changes in our body have brought us to this point. And in that period, it's normal for us to have a sense of community. It's normal for us to figure out that we're normal, we're doing our normal things, normal routines, da da da. Well, when you come here and you're going for self growth, when you're going for any form of self growth, whether, sorry, that was my air fryer, um, whether you're going for any form of self growth, being fitness wise, nutrition wise, energy wise, health wise, it doesn't matter what in particular. Maybe it's business wise, maybe it's career wise, maybe it's parenting wise, maybe it's spousal, okay? No matter what, at the end of the day, something has to give. There's a reason why only 5% of the people in the world have 95% of the success, of the wealth, okay? There's a reason why only 5% of the people in the world have 95% of the world's wealth. Why? Because they do things differently and they don't follow the normal crowds. They do not act like sheep and they start acting like wolves, which means, what am I getting at with all of this? When you set out for any form of self growth, any form of real change, there requires us to make a change in ourselves. We have to do something differently. Something has to break in that old routine, those old habits, that old version of yourself has to change. Something has to break, something has to move, okay? For you to see the absolute change to become the person that you want to be. And what happens there? You start doing things differently. When you start doing things differently, this is where we start joining that 5%. So, the lonely chapter is this lonely phase that happens typically whenever we start making deeper changes. Maybe we're prioritizing our mental health. Maybe we're prioritizing our health by changing food habits that seem weird in your family. Maybe it means that you're prioritizing time to train. Maybe that means that you're prioritizing time for medical appointments. Maybe it means you're prioritizing things like sleep instead of going out. What I'm getting at here is that your old normal can no longer be your new normal whenever you're going through a period of change, when you're going through a period of growth. Something has to change. And usually, what ends up happening is that old community doesn't necessarily resonate with all the changes and things that we're doing. Sometimes they change with you. So, when you start going through a lot of these different periods, different phases in your life, these periods of growth, there's usually a portion that is called the lonely chapter. And this is where you're maybe not resonating with that old community as much. You're still friends with everybody, but maybe you're not going out and drinking every weekend. You're still very close with your family, but you also stick with your dietary restrictions because they hurt you if you don't. Maybe that means that Yeah, you still do wonderful things with your spouse and your partner and your kids, but you also prioritize some workout time. So sometimes our communities don't always resonate with the same habits as us, and this can make us feel quite lonely, like we're the only ones going through it. And the lonely chapter can be a very powerful chapter. It's also quite painful or sobering, but it is where most of the growth happens. And why is it that you are lonely? The lonely chapter means saying goodbye to certain old habits and introducing new ones. You're not the old person you were, but you're not quite the person that you wanted to become yet. And so the people that are like how you want to become are already there, and you're trying to get to there. And you're not quite like the old version of yourself. So there's this huge internal shift that typically happens. And when you go through that, it usually means that you're sitting there soberingly honest with yourself. That means that you do your weekly check ins because you know that check ins are not just keeping accountable to me. A check in is a form of a self audit, it's a form of being real with yourself every single week. It's a form of embracing your flaws or your weaknesses and realizing how to turn them into strengths or realizing what they are, period, so that you can turn them into strengths. It's a period of embracing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as you go through that, there's usually deep shifts internally that happen. And that allows you to push into the person that you want to become. Now, the reason why it's not called the lonely life, because you're doing things different than everybody else, is because it's only just a small chapter of a long term success story. And the good thing that you guys have going on here is that you have a community of like minded people. So all of you guys might be in your lonely chapters, but you can do so together in a way that I never could, in a way that a lot of us never could, because this awesome style of training, style of programming didn't exist back in the day. So the lonely chapter is a form of self realization and self growth to become the person that you want to be while attracting that community that you want to be surrounded with. Now, there's a couple of you that are sisters in here. There's a couple of you that are friends in here. There's a couple of you that are complete strangers. But you have an entire community that's already here in the trenches going through this with you. So reach out to somebody if you need help. Reach out to me if you want to chat. If you're in here with a friend or a buddy or a sister or a family member or a spouse, embrace that together and change together. Okay? The lonely chapter is only just a small part, but an integral part of building self esteem, of building self worth, of building those long term success habits that drove you to be here in the first place. Sweetheart, I'm super proud of you. In order to have come here in the first place, you had to address that something had to give and you needed an external force to push you along. That is why you came here. Hello, we're here for you. At the same time, while you start getting that push from your external stimulus, your internal stimulus is starting to change. The narrative and the new normal is starting to change. When you first start your program, it might feel daunting, it might feel new, overwhelming, exciting. All of those are very valid emotions. Maybe you feel a bit scared. At the same time, as you start digging it apart and introducing elements of your training, building you in, it's not as lonely as you think. And it slowly becomes a part of your habit. A lot of you used to say, wait, what? You want me to eat how much? And then after a month, you're like, okay, can I have more food, please? So there's like cool little changes that can occur. One of you sent me the best text ever that your underwear was too big. 2 months ago, that wouldn't have been the case, right? Some of you have been able to heal your hormones to the point where you are able to, you know, procreate. There's some of you are able to heal your diabetes to the point where you've lowered your medications. There's so much good that happens in that little period of the lonely period, that lonely chapter, that leads to finding yourself, leads to you finding and building into that person that you want to become. What I'm getting at with all of this is a very simple and sweet and concise message. There is going to be a period of resignation, a period of realization, a period of resilience. When you start saying, okay, I have to say goodbye to certain things in order to say hello to new things. And remember that you are not following the 95%. You are following into those 5% that have 90%, 95% of the wealth, the 5% own. And I'm talking spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, financially, everything. So saying goodbye to those scarcity mindsets, saying goodbye to those habits that harm us, even though they feel good. Saying goodbye to perhaps things that no longer resonate with our goals. I'm here to tell you that it's okay. I'm here to tell you that injury, illness, shifts in goals, whatever it is, that period where you feel a little bit lonely is where you will find the most light. Start climbing your way out of that darkness. Reach out to the community that is here around you. Reach out to a friend, reach out to me, whatever it is. And we are going to help build you into that person that you so want to become. That is today's message, sweetheart. Embrace the lonely chapter, for you will have the 95%. You will have the successful life that you want. You will have success in your goals, whatever they are, health, wealth, relationships, okay? You will get there. But that little period of loneliness where you address the reality of your life can be the deepest and most important step of this whole process. So if you find yourself shoving down feelings, if you find yourself clamming up, if you feel subconsciously stressed but you're not addressing it, here are 2 or 3 tips that you can use to help really be real with your feelings and start the snowball to becoming that person that you want to become. Step 1 would be to write down any negative thoughts, feelings, anxieties on a piece of paper. And then you're going to go outside in this beautiful winter and you're going to burn it. In that process, you are letting go of any negative emotions, any negative thoughts. They stay there, they're gone. Technique number 2. Technique number 2 is going to be to reach out, comment. If you're feeling lonely, put yourself into a community that understands you. Put yourself around people. Remember that you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are the sum total, meaning you embrace all of the qualities of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose them wisely. And that includes who you listen to, what you consume on the TV, what you listen to for podcasts, music, etc., what you watch on your screen, what you watch on TV. All of those have deep impacts. So be careful and be selective and be picky of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yeah, of course, watch some bullshit reality shows. Yeah, of course, watch some comic book, whatever. But remember that the time that you are building yourself can also be part of that. It's not a sneak peek, but like pro tip, if you guys have walking pads or something, wait, where did it go? That's a walking pad right there. Okay, throw it in front of the TV. Throw it in front of the TV. Watch a documentary. Listen to this. I don't care. Watch a TV show. Watch Kardashians or whatever. That can be your downtime. But what I'm getting at is remember that you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you can't spend it with them physically, it's spending it with them virtually, listening, seeing, and hearing. And tip number 3 is the self-audit. You can go look at yourself in the mirror. You can write it down, whatever is more applicable to you. I've had chats with myself in the mirror and I sound like a crazy person, but it's some of the most powerful messages, powerful times in my life where I was able to address the good, the bad, the ugly, and realize that I was holding myself back in certain things, or there was behaviors that I didn't appreciate that was impacting negatively in my life. Maybe they were positive things as well. But having that open and honest dialogue with yourself, and I found the mirror to be a better technique than writing for me because I found it to be sobering, allowed me to start stepping into, this business owner, entrepreneur mom that I am now. And so what I'm getting at is taking these 3 small steps and realizing that going through a small period of loneliness in order to get a long-term sense of growth and success is going to carry you so much further. And by going through that process, you're going to learn to keep small promises to yourself. And when you do so, your self esteem is going to grow because you know that you got this. You know that you can, put your money where your mouth is. You say you're going to do something, you do it. But instead of saying it and doing it, sometimes you have to say it and start small by showing it. And then you'll believe yourself. So, sweetheart, remember, pivoting is normal, growth is normal. There is comfort in discomfort. In order for you to be successful, you're going to have to learn to be a little bit uncomfortable. And soon that discomfort and that sense of growth is going to become your new normal, your new comfortable. So, sweetheart, realize, maybe take 5 minutes today and see what's working for you and maybe what's something that you need to address internally or externally. And lean on your community as much as you need, lean on me as much as you need, and just know that you have this entirely. There's zero reason for you not to succeed. There's always an answer, there's always a way. You have a community, you have a coach when a lot of us OGs did not. So lean into us, use us. We're here for you. That's it for this Monday. Have a kick-ass rest of your week, and I will see you soon. Bye.